J'avais une relation très proche avec ma grand-mère, qui est mon seul grand-parent. Et quand elle s'est éteinte, j'ai eu cette idée de découvrir son pays, le Vietnam, à travers la musique classique. Le symbole de ce documentaire, c'est ce pont, cette idée de lien entre le Vietnam et le monde à travers la musique. Et pas seulement la musique classique au final, la musique traditionnelle vietnamienne aussi.
I think there's a very strong bond between Vietnam and France.
In the history, in difficult period time, Vietnam always comes stronger.
Quand je vois la musique vietnamienne dans l'avenir, je vois tout d'abord le développement de la tradition. C'est la tradition repensée pour la société actuelle.
Au fur et à mesure de mon parcours, je suis sorti du cadre initial qui était l'orchestre et je me suis évadé du système urbain, donc de la ville, qu'on associe généralement à la musique classique. Je me suis rapproché du peuple, des campagnes. Et donc ce projet de documentaire a pris sens et je suis parti au Vietnam pour découvrir mes racines.
Hello and welcome to Talk Vietnam. A native to Paris, France, François Bibonne has spent 15 months in Vietnam amid COVID-19 pandemic, filming Once Upon a Bridge in Vietnam. He has dedicated his first documentary ever to Vietnam, the home country of his grandma. So let's meet François and listen to his story of returning to his roots via music and how this journey has changed his life for good. Hello, François, and thank you so much for joining us on Talk Vietnam. How are you?
Hi. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very good.
It's a pleasure to have you here online in Talk Vietnam. What makes your documentary so special, in your opinion?
I want to do something that Vietnam is speaking to me and indicates the way and the path. So it's like a quest. So when you watch a movie, a documentary, and when you read a book, you need to have identification. You need to see yourself inside the masterpiece. And I think when it's about the quest, it's about everybody. We all have our own quest. And when you speak about the food, you know, it's very easy to identify yourself. So it's not about Vietnam. It's just about the process and process to know more about Vietnam. So I think that's why people will watch.
So, do you think will the audience around the world, especially the young, understand more about Vietnam, its music, land, and people after watching your documentary?
Yes, because the documentary is it's very there is a lot of knowledge inside the documentary, but in the same time it's catchy. It's there's some entertainment inside, so it will help people to know more about Vietnam, and they will have some content made by young filmmakers, so it will help them to have a new vision. And after, I hope it's just a starting point, and so they can have some content, and after they can develop their vision, and they can investigate by themselves. So maybe they can go to Vietnam and know more about it. Maybe they can do their own documentary.
So, from your own observations, what can you say about the interest Vietnamese audience in general and the youth in particular have in classical music?
I think they are very curious. Classical music is not very popular, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a challenge to catch young generation through classical music. But I think, you know, when I go to the concerts, I see a lot of young people in the public. So that's a very big difference. The average of the age of the public is very low compared to West countries. So I think there's a lot of participation and a positive atmosphere.
Right.
And about traditional music and heritage, I know that really hard to interest young people, young generation, because it's very old, and people are usually, they care about the future and they care about the present. So this is another challenge, but I think that people really care more about traditional music if it's trendy.
I feel I can imagine one by one Vietnamese people, many different, but everybody Vietnamese and smile.
J'adorais par exemple filmer des discussions entre les musiciens. Je les voyais sourire entre eux, rigoler, je les voyais s'énerver. Je voyais par exemple un musicien jouer une mélodie, un autre violoniste arrivait, il disait non c'est pas ça, c'est comme ça qu'il faut jouer, avec un rythme un peu effréné des fois. Ça va dans tous les sens. Les gens parlent partout, ils s'écoutent pas, ils répètent dans leur coin. Mais à la fin, tout le monde se réunit et tout le monde joue la même pièce et tout le monde s'accorde sur une même idée, c'est-à-dire la musique.
That's the beauty of orchestra. You put aside your own ego and try to build something unified. I guess it's just a thought, because Vietnam is the way the political structure is built, the social structure, very favored community. VNSO may have that as a strength, because people know how to be together, how to play together, how to not step on each other's toe. So I think that already built in everyone's blood, that how to function within the society.
So during a recent interview, you said that this documentary project has a life-changing impact on you. So can you please elaborate more on this?
Yes, because so first of all, I discovered my job, because I'm a documentary filmmaker now, and before I wasn't, and I was managing shootings, and I was investigating the country, renting camera, taking a motorbike, and going very far. So all of that, I didn't feel any pain. It was really an energy, a force inside me that tells me that that's my job. That's what I want to do.
You also said that it was during this COVID time that you discovered the beauty of Vietnam. Explain it to me.
Yes, I said that, I think, because we all help each other, and I was feeling that I was really part of the Vietnamese community. Like a lot of Vietnamese friends, they visited me and they gave me food and they helped me in my daily life. So I was not a foreigner anymore, and I was feeling the same the same history of everyone in Vietnam. I was part of Vietnam, so I think that's actually I think I was lucky to be in Vietnam during the COVID. I don't know, very strange, but I had that feeling.
What were some of the most interesting things that you discovered from Vietnam's folk music or traditional music while filming this documentary?
My first relationship with traditional music was with Kachu musicians. I mean, the really like meaningful interview. It was the first time you play Kachu. I think it's the same for Vietnamese, but I'm not sure. But as a foreigner, it's not scary at all, but it's just really, really strange. And you cannot be you cannot forget that. You really like really interesting. And the interview, they told me that the text actually it's a poem, and it's really meaningful. And that about the heritage, that it's a very important tradition in Vietnam. When you speak to people and all of that, after you feel something behind the music, and it becomes more easy to enjoy.
Mình có một cái bức ảnh đây. Đây là giáo sư Tôn Thất Tiết. Đây là nhạc sư, ở bên đấy gọi là nhạc sư đánh đàn viola này. Đây là anh trai của mình đánh đàn đáy. Đây là mình đây. Đây là nhạc sư chơi đàn hát. Cái đàn hát một cái đàn rất là đẹp, mình rất là ấn tượng với cái đàn này.
Đây là papa.
Và đây là cha của mình. Ông là nghệ sĩ, nghệ nhân nhân dân Nguyễn Văn Mùi. Giáo sư Tôn Thất Tiết là một người đã sống ở Pháp rất là lâu. Đấy, sau đó thì nghe thấy cái âm nhạc ca trù thì giáo sư rất là thích, và trở về Việt Nam thì tìm đến Nhạc viện Hà Nội, lúc bấy giờ gọi là Nhạc viện Hà Nội, bây giờ thì là Học viện Âm nhạc Quốc gia. Thế thì đi tìm khắp trong trường nhạc nhưng không có ai hát ca trù cả. Và cuối cùng thì cũng tìm hiểu rất là nhiều, và cuối cùng đến tại gia đình của nghệ nhân nhân dân Nguyễn Văn Mùi, tức là gia đình nhà mình, bây giờ gọi là giáo phường ca trù Thái Hà.
Vì ông thực ra ông là người Việt Nam, người Huế. Ông đã sang Pháp cũng rất lâu và ông học âm nhạc cổ điển châu Âu. Ông học ở Pháp và ông là cái người viết nhạc, và nó cũng là một trong những người, nếu bạn này chắc bạn biết giáo sư là con người như nào. Ông viết nhạc rất tuyệt vời.
Your grandma, she also told you many stories. So through the stories told by your grandma and the dishes she cooked for you, what was Vietnam like in your imagination?
So yeah, the first impression I have is something very delicate, because when she was cooking like Vietnamese people, I feel that it's very delicate and very sensitive. The first impression I had of Vietnam was through the food. Yeah. For example, the fish sauce. I really like the fish sauce, and sometimes I invite some friends, and my grandmother is cooking, and they are very afraid of Asian food because they don't know anything about that. So I know I was very proud of that. From the beginning, I knew that I had the chance to have that identity. She cooked bánh quán a lot. Bánh quán, phở, nem rang.
So how did the bonding between you and your grandma affect your decision to come back to Vietnam?
I didn't know my grandfather, and I don't know the parents of my mother. So she was my only grandparent.
Oh.
So when I was a kid, every year I visited her in the south of France, and several times every year. So during 3 days, and so when she passed away, I had that very strong feeling to see her again. Actually, even before she passed away, I always said to my family, we need to go to Vietnam. Why don't we go to Vietnam? Why don't we go to Vietnam? I was saying that every year. And after my grandmother, she passed away, and we all decided to go together to Vietnam. So with my dad, my mother, and my brother.
So tell us about your first trip ever to Vietnam. Was your first impression on Vietnam different from your prior imagination?
I remember the first impression I had was I was smelling the bamboo because the people were eating what's the name? A fur with bamboo inside. The smell is very strong, So that's the first thing I experienced in Vietnam. And after we took a taxi, and the second feeling was the traffic. The traffic is really crazy compared to Europe. And after we went to the old quarter, so I was with my family, and I remember I think it was like kind of a dream. I was in a dream, and everything was very different. So even it was like a very very big perfume. But I was not about the sound, but more about what I was smelling and what I was watching. And after we made separate trips, we went to Sapa, and I didn't know that during the winter in Vietnam, so I was freezing. I remember that it was very funny, but we really really loved Vietnam.
Right. So you fell in love with Vietnam the first time that you saw it?
Yeah, because so the last day of the trip, I really really had the feeling that I was. It's like you have a girlfriend, you need to say goodbye. It's nearly the same feeling I had. So I was like, no, I need to stay here. I need to come back there.
Bạn ấy đã về Việt Nam và tìm hiểu về không chỉ là âm nhạc cổ điển, một bộ môn mà bạn ấy đã học trong suốt cả một cái thời gian dài, và tìm hiểu về những văn hóa cũng như là con người nơi đây. Đó là một điều hết sức là tuyệt vời, và tôi cảm thấy rằng đây là một cái dự án để mà giới thiệu thêm những cái nét đẹp của con người Việt Nam với bạn bè quốc tế.
Một bạn rất là trẻ, bạn tiếp tục quan tâm đến cái nền âm nhạc Việt Nam, và mình nghĩ rằng cái đấy cũng là cái tín hiệu rất là vui, bởi vì mình hy vọng rằng bạn sẽ kết nối được những hiểu biết của người Pháp về Việt Nam trong quá khứ với hiểu biết của người Pháp về Việt Nam trong hiện tại, và để nó tạo thành một cái chuỗi liên tục như thế, và cái sự hiểu biết giữa hai dân tộc nó càng ngày càng sâu sắc hơn.
Bạn có rất là nhiều nhiệt huyết với cái dự án phim tài liệu này, rất là chủ động đi tìm những câu chuyện hoặc là những con người có hiểu biết về nhạc cổ điển để phỏng vấn họ và tìm hiểu xem là cái nhạc cổ điển nó ảnh hưởng như thế nào đến cái nền âm nhạc của Việt Nam như bây giờ. Bạn gặp một cái khó khăn đấy là bạn phải duy trì cái kinh phí để tiếp tục cái dự án này, cũng như là chi phí để ở lại tại Việt Nam. Thì bạn ấy có đi làm thêm, như là làm thêm người mẫu hoặc là giáo viên tiếng Anh.
I think it's a beautiful thing when you are actually the third generation, right? And then you had that very natural bonding to Vietnam, to your roots, and then you can inspire your father to do the same thing, to follow you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's he's really 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 proud of my project, and I think it's really meaningful stuff, And from my little story, because there are hundreds of thousands of stories like me. I have a lot of friends that have a lot of origins, but they don't know about their own story. And I think it's a little tragedy, because anyway they will have to know about their roots in the future. So I think it's good as soon as possible to learn your roots.
Right. It's so beautiful the way you put it.
I came back to Vietnam again, and I did an internship in a travel agency. I started to wonder about the point of view of foreigners about Vietnam. And I noticed that it's always the same image of Vietnam. I was feeling that even inside the travel agency, we had to refresh, to renew the content, and to develop some content about culture. But I only had like 3 months there. So after I came back to France.
And then what happened next when you came back to France?
Every this summer, I'm working for a music festival in France. And it's a very, very famous festival, and they have classical music concerts. And I was thinking of Vietnam, so I was wondering, what about Vietnam? Is there an orchestra? Do they have classical musicians? At the beginning, I didn't think of traditional music. But the first concert I saw in Vietnam, they had symphonic pieces with traditional musicians. So at the first impression was that crossroad between Vietnamese music and Western music. But I wanted to focus on classical music, Western classical music, because a lot of you know, when you take the plane, for example, take the plane and you go to Vietnam, you see a lot of videos about traditional music. You can see the people wearing costumes and singing. So something we know about Vietnam already. We don't know deeply that culture, but we know that there is traditional music. But my goal was to show that they have West classical music as well, and an orchestra, opera, and a lot of things like this. But I think it's part of my Vietnamese identity that I would naturally attracted by traditional music. So the documentary starts from Western classical music and ends with traditional music. And actually the first song I listened to Vietnam live in live concerts was the Vietnamese anthem.
Okay.
And it's really catchy, and I recorded that song, and it's in documentary.
Đây là một cái dự án của François Bibonne mà tôi nghĩ rằng nó rất là hữu ích để chúng ta có thể lưu giữ, chúng ta có thể nghe, chúng ta có thể được gặp, nhìn và có những cái document của tổng thể của âm nhạc Việt Nam theo chiều dài của cái địa lý cũng như theo cái tiến trình lịch sử.
Tôi thì biết được là cái ý nghĩa của anh khi mà anh làm cái dự án này cũng là để giới thiệu về cái nền âm nhạc Việt Nam, và tôi cũng hy vọng rằng nhiều người nữa biết đến Việt Nam và họ muốn đến Việt Nam để tham quan, để cùng nhau hợp tác những cái dự án về làm nghệ thuật.
Chúng tôi cũng xin cảm ơn là nhờ những cái sự yêu mến của các bạn, với những thước phim các bạn làm, có thể sẽ nhiều bạn trẻ sẽ biết đến đất nước Việt Nam nhiều hơn thông qua âm nhạc, thông qua các nghệ sĩ của chúng tôi, cũng như là những hình ảnh phong cảnh của đất nước con người Việt Nam.
I'm a little bit curious because there are many different forms you can do, you know, because you are a musician, you play piano. So why a documentary? Why filming?
I wanted to show also the Vietnam. So it's not about it's not just about the sound. It's about the people. It's about the landscape. It's you know, when you make a movie, you gather a lot of different senses. So you have the sound, you have the image, you have the psychology of the people, and so people can have their own interpretation or the masterpiece.
Now, Bibonne, tell us about some of your memorable trips in Vietnam for the film, maybe some surprises about the music, the people that you had during those trips.
Yes. One trip I will never forget is the one when I went to Nam Dinh province and I met a family. They all make brass instruments. So they make everything and they build the instruments. And it was like a really magic day. So the story of that family is very interesting. Is that during the 19th century, some French people came there and organized how to say a Catholic event, and so they brought musicians playing brass instruments. And so these instruments they're still there in that program. And so some people keep them so they can study the instrument and make their own instrument based on these ones. It's like when I went to the past. I was driving from the present to the past. So the bridge, the title, it's also the bridge between the past and the future.
What does the documentary Once Upon a Bridge in Vietnam mean to you personally?
I think it's the bridge between my grandmother and me. Yeah, I think that's the first bridge, and I think it's I open a door to another life. For me, it will help me to be back in Vietnam with more projects and to develop a trend about music in Vietnam. And I think it's a concept. It's more than a documentary, and it's a very nice concept that I wish I can develop it and do, like, as I said, like I can write articles, I can invite some writers to make more content about that, and I have a lot of projects. I would like to organize events in Vietnam, invite some musicians that are in the documentary so they can play in very nice concert halls or new spaces in Vietnam. And I also want to make a book about a lot of stories about classical music in Vietnam and a lot of archives.
After all, what does Vietnam mean to you?
Now, so at the beginning, it was a lot of image and something, not something related to music. Now, I directly hear music. Vietnam means music to me. Everything is music in Vietnam. And it also means rhythm and life. You know, in Europe now, people are getting older, and I feel that the rhythm is slower. So this is why Vietnam is music to me. it means new project, positive energy, and this is something I noticed. It's always about the young generation, and they have so much freedom and desire to grow, and they have a lot of space to do it. So for me, Vietnam means more freedom, and freedom is music, so it's the same.
Right.
Freedom and music.
You are going to spend 10% of the profit from the documentary for a bamboo growing project in the northern mountainous province of Yên Bái. Tell us a little bit more about this project.
Yes. The association, the name is Tan Am San, and the idea is to fight deforestation. So it's about sustainable development. So they want to grow forests in Vietnam, and they start with the Yên Bái province. So they plant bamboo trees there, especially in Mù Cang Chải area. And I had the chance to follow a music festival organized by that association. And they're all volunteers, and they all pay to promote the program to plant bamboo trees. So I went there, and I shooted some very nice footage there. So it's part of the documentary as well. And the connection also between music and nature, so culture and nature, is really, really, really interesting for me. And I think we face the climate change, the global issues like this. So I think it's really important as well. And it shows that there are really inspiring projects in Vietnam, and that, like musicians, they are very busy, and they don't earn so much money, and still they are okay to work very hard to take part in such a project and be a volunteer. So it shows that they are very responsible, and it's very inspiring. So that's why I already gave around 1,000 euros to that association, and also because they kind of support my project by inviting me to the music festival, and so it's very nice partnership. And I think in the next year I want to support them again. The purpose is to make, I think I have that idea to make a series. So this documentary would be the first episode, and after I can do another one. I wish I can travel again to Vietnam on January And I can study now the music in the south of Vietnam, and I want to go to Hue, to Dalat, to the Highland Mountains. So this is like a long process project. And Tiquan, Studio Tiquan, the idea is to make bridges and to connect France and Vietnam through entertaining, inspiring, and interesting content. And the idea is really to invite young generation to know more about Vietnam.
On s'intéresse à la musique, on s'intéresse forcément à la langue. Je me suis très vite intéressé à la langue vietnamienne, qui est une langue tonale. C'est assez époustouflant, la musicalité de la langue vietnamienne.
Cầu ơi, cánh chim gu thương mến, Hải âu ơi, cánh chim vờn trên sóng, cùng bay nào, cho trái đất quay, cùng bay nào.
What has interested me about the Vietnamese folk music is the way they bend their tones. And they also do it in the language, right? They bend the tones in a much more, to a much more extent than, for example, the Norwegian language, which is very flat in comparison.
Nắng tô màu tươi thắm, màu da nào, cũng quý cũng thơm, màu da nào, cũng quý cũng thơm.
Les maisons de disques ne sont pas présentes ici au Vietnam encore. On est là avec des musiciens, avec des gens qui aiment la musique classique et avec beaucoup de gens passionnés. On voudrait justement créer ce marché-là. Pour ça, on a besoin quand même d'investisseurs. Puisqu'on n'a pas encore un public très constant et très stable ici, il faut le monter, il faut rapprocher les gens, il faut construire une communauté plus forte, plus solidaire. Et on pourra pouvoir organiser les concerts plus souvent, faire venir plus de monde.
Can you share a little bit about the distribution plan of the documentary?
Yes, so because it's my first documentary, it's very tricky to connect to to big distributors. I want to be actually a streaming platform, so it can be available for everybody. Otherwise, if I sell it to the French TV, for example, Vietnamese they cannot see the movie.
Right.
So I really care about that. So I want the movie to be available. Yeah, and I think it will be interesting for some organization. And for example, UNESCO, I think they are very curious about that project as well. So it's nice if they can.
So what's next after Once Upon a Bridge in Vietnam?
And next is the next documentary. I will go to Con Dao, and I think there's a very big story, that island, and it will be the start point of the new documentary. And after I will go Highland Mountains. I want to study gong music, and I want to go to Hue to know more about the traditional music there, and maybe I can have some time the orchestra in Ho Chi Minh City.
We have come to the end of this program today, and we wish you all the best for your future projects, and looking forward to seeing Once Upon a Bridge in Vietnam coming soon.
Yeah.
And I know that is just the initial step And then after that, there will be many more projects coming from you. So we wish you all the best and looking forward to seeing all of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And that is the end of our Talk Vietnam with François Bibonne. And I hope that from his story of making the documentary and his love for Vietnam, you are inspired as much as I have been. Thank you very much for staying with us, and see you next time.
Pas d'envers.